this is a little bit about what you could expect if you join the Authentic Enoughness online program with me, which we start on January 10th. So first off, you get access to this workbook, which only Daring Way facilitators or Dare to Lead facilitators, certified Dare to Lead facilitators have access to. You also get to view the videos of Brené, which are not anywhere online because they're all trademarked. And then we go through the curriculum together. And so in the Rumbling with Shame session, so first off, note that I didn't put shame in the description because you wouldn't have clicked on this. Not many of you are clicking on it now as it is, but I know you're going to watch it because we all are holding ourselves back from showing up in our lives. And quite possibly the saddest part about not having the courage skill set, which you can learn. I can teach you the skill set. We know from her research that courage is a skill set that we can teach. So not a lot of us have the skill set of courage to show up as who we are, flaws and all, in all the parts of our lives. Most especially and most heartbreakingly, we don't have the courage or the skill set to show up in front of the people who love us most. But also, we're not doing it in front of the people who love us most, like the people who we have chosen to have in our lives that are supposed to love us no matter what, and we're still not showing up for them. And this is because a lot of us are struggling with shame. So I still get, everywhere I go, I teach on shame, and people get so uncomfortable. They even leave the room. They cross their arms. They get super defensive because they don't know what shame means. So this is not your grandmother's, you should be so ashamed of yourself. I mean, it kind of is, but not really. So Brené's definition of shame, the deeply painful feeling of feeling unworthy of love and belonging. So it's the not enoughness. It's when we feel small. Shame works as this vice that if you have the wherewithal and the skills to work through, move through the door into the arena, past the I'm not enough part, shame's going to come on the other side and say, who the hell do you think you are? The craziest part about shame is that I think a lot of us have learned or been told that other people shame us, which is so true. People shame all the time. There's a lot of big influencers in personal development that shame their audience into change. And I actually just did a post on Instagram about this, like shaming people will not help them make sustainable change in their lives. We have to help people to love themselves enough through these practices of courage and self-love and self-care so that they know their worthiness. That will help them make sustainable change in their life, not shaming people into making change. And so when we talk about shame, yes, absolutely, we have people in our lives that may shame us. However, I also choose how I spin it. I also very much have the ability to shame myself. And so quickly, this is like, so it's a 2-page lesson in the curriculum. So first off, what we do is we go through the vocabulary. So shame, the deeply painful feeling of feeling unworthy of love and belonging. This is not the same as guilt. Guilt is I did something bad. I screwed it up. Shame is I am bad. So guilt focused on behavior, shame focused on self. Guilt is actually motivating for change. Because if I screw something up and I don't like how I did something, if I hurt someone, if I messed it up, it's not congruent with who I know I can be or who I want to be. So I'm motivated to change because it's incongruent. Versus if I am in a shame self-talk spiral, or I tend to be more of a shame self-talker, I have no reason to make change in my life because I don't think I'm worthy of it. Shame will never motivate change. Shame is also different than, so guilt, shame, they're also different than humiliation and embarrassment. So humiliation, so she calls it in the curriculum, the variable that differentiates humiliation is whether it is deserving. So did I deserve this? So in the curriculum, we use the example that, like, let's say you got shamed in a class that you were taking, like they called your art terrible and you're never going to be a great artist or whatever else. If you believe that you deserved that, then you're going to feel shame. If you're like, I didn't deserve that. I mean, I'm not the best artist in the whole wide world, but I did not deserve that. You're going to feel humiliation. They're different emotions, okay? They're both self-conscious emotions, and both kind of, they're confused for shame a lot. So then embarrassment is like, you know that you're not the only one that has experienced something like that. It's often funny after the fact. Like, so when I choke in public and puke, this esophagus stuff that I have going on, like, I know I'm not the only person to have puked in public or choked in public for that matter. And as scary as it is kind of funny. Okay. So that's embarrassing. So to know the difference between guilt, shame, humiliation, and embarrassment is step one, because we need the vocabulary. When we know what to call something, when we can identify it in the correct way, we then have the correct coping skills to actually allow it to move through and not sit in it. Sitting in the shit will not help you make change. But the thing is that when I am feeling shame, I can shift that to guilt. Now, you guys have heard me on all of my teaches before, like my shame spiral so quickly goes to like, you're not enough, you're invisible, no one cares, you don't matter. Like that's my shame spiral. I know my truth. I know I am enough. I know that if I can shift that shame self-talk to, did I screw something up? Could I do it better next time? Because that shifts it to guilt and means I'm capable of change, versus going into that shame spiral. There's no change there. And shame is not our truth. Shame is learned. Shame is what we feel when we know that we're not enough, based off of the messages of the world, based off of damning ourselves that we're not meeting our expectations or someone else's expectations. And then on top of that, the stories that we have survived, our traumas, losses, and tragedies. So like shame is a story that we tell ourselves. It is never, ever, ever our truth. Okay. So that's kind of the first part of 3 parts of the shame lesson in the Rising Strong curriculum. And I'm not going to go over the shame shields. I mean, shame shields, hello. They're like, and they're not actually Brené's. They're from the Wesley Center or the Stone Center. But like, do you move away? Do you move toward? Or do you move against when you're in shame? And you don't even know what those things are, because I'm not going to give that away. You'd have to actually come do the work with me, or read Brené's books. That's fine too. But go beyond reading the books and make real change in your life. But think about that. Like when you experience that not enoughness, I don't deserve, do you move away from people? Do you move toward them? Do you move against? Those are shields that we pick up, because we all experience shame. You are human. You are human. You're wired to yearn. You're also wired to rebel in many ways. So you're going to experience shame, unless you're a sociopath, which, I mean, you're probably not on my Facebook page if you're a sociopath. You definitely have not made it this far in this video if you're a sociopath. You probably will not read Brené Brown's work if you're a sociopath. You experience shame because you are human. And so when you understand what shame is, how it functions in your life, it will no longer run your life. So the third part that we talk about in this session is the physical symptoms. So most likely, no matter what emotion you are feeling, you feel it somewhere in your head, your chest, and your belly. They're all nuanced for every single person. For me, my head is like total racing thoughts, people-pleasing thoughts, caretaking thoughts. My chest, my heart pounds out of my chest. Not a racing heart, but pounds. I swear you could see it pounding on my chest. And my belly, well, it churns. And I totally get the nervous poops. Whereas when Brené is in shame, she gets tunnel vision, tingly armpits. Those are her tells. When you understand what your physical tells are, you then can move through that emotion, use coping strategies to slow down the physiological response, to bring your thinking brain back on track, as we say in the curriculum. Name it shame if that's what it is. Cope with it in an effective way. Rewrite the story into what you know your truth is. Not the truth of the messages of this world, not the truth of your traumas, losses, and tragedies, and not the truth of your expectations or others' expectations. The truth of who you were created to be. And it is not shame, and it is always enough. That's what this work is about. And I am so excited about the group that has joined me so far. So that is your little sneak peek. That's actually like what? That's like lesson 6 or 7 out of 16 of the Rising Strong curriculum. So we start a week from tomorrow. I'm going to cut off registration on Monday because I'm going to send you the workbook to work through. So again, Authentic Enoughness, my online program. It's a 4-month community and tribe, small group, going through the curriculum taught by me. As of now, this is the only time I will ever be offering this in this capacity. So I would love for you to choose to do this work. I would love for you to go beyond just consuming the books and the videos. How many of you are reading everything that Brené puts out, everything that Rachel Hollis puts out, and yet you are not making sustainable change in your life? That's where I come in. I will help you learn the skill set to make true, sustainable change in your life. If you have any questions, let me know. The link is in the comments here. And I hope to see some of you on January 10th for the, what am I calling it? Authentic Enoughness online program. And if you're here in St. Louis, I teach this on Tuesday nights. That second Tuesday of every month. I teach it here in St. Louis. This week, we're talking about shame. So I'm going through the curriculum. We have like 7 more sessions left in person here in St. Louis. And then come July, we're going to start the new curriculum, The Gifts of Imperfection, which is Brené's, still to this day, best-selling book, and we have a brand new curriculum on it. So I'm super excited to be able to offer that on Tuesday nights here locally in St. Louis. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and make it a great rest of the day. And if you're still on break, enjoy it.